Well, tonight is November the 5th. You know, gunpowder, treason and plot. There's going to be a lot of fireworks celebrating, probably a remaining of independence of this country away from the Catholic Europe at the time, which was quite a good idea. Yet today we found that we have the traitors who in actual fact have handed us over into Europe. And I don't know why these people want to rule if they don't want to rule. I mean, it's not as if they don't realise that the British people, 75% of them, really want no part of Europe. They've gone ahead without any reference to us at all. As a matter of fact, the last year had referendums was when most of us, or most of the people, were very young and probably weren't able to vote. And they voted then even on a trading arrangement, not an arrangement where in actual fact the whole of the rights of this nation were undermined. And here's an example that was put out this morning by the Mail, which is a little bit late. It should have been put out years ago. But you can see from that, there's foreign policy affected, criminal justice, sovereignty, labour laws, transport, defence and immigration and asylum. All these things have passed out from our hands into Europe. And this is what we didn't want. I mean, every poll that I have seen, and I was keeping copies of these polls, showed 75% of people not wanting us to go any further down the line. One can't forgive these people for having done this to us. And it is something that we can't actually forgive and forget very easily. To give an example of a man who cleared Parliament, and we really need to clear this Parliament in the coming election, we need to sort of vote out the Lib Lab Con, because these people are primarily responsible. I have sat and watched the Prime Minister's Question Times many, many times, and I have never heard Cameron ask about the loss of 95% of the EU budget. Just to give you an example of how bad that is, it's not me that's telling this, not me, I'm just reporting what the EU auditors said. And the EU auditors say that the British contribution, which is 40 million a day, or 14 billion a year, or over 14 years is 196 billion, now we're on the 15th year, so it'd probably be at least 210 billion. Of that lot, 95% is unaccounted for. So the wording is unaccounted for. And I will say missing, / missing, and then ... stolen ? Because, that's what it probably means. And, when you look at that's astounding. And, MEPs who've queried this situation and raised 185 signatures to do this job, to actually check it out, to raise an inquiry into it, instead of the Commission actually obeying its own rules and immediately saying yes, you can have an inquiry, went back against their own rules and went back to all the governments and put pressure on these MPs to withdraw their signatures. As it was, 125 left the signatures, 60 acquiesced to the pressure and withdrew their signatures. And the net result was 125. Still enough, I think, by 4 or 5 to demand an inquiry. When they got into the inquiry, what did they find? There was millions gone. There was no audit trail. There was no receipts. There was nothing. There was nothing to check out. And that is the whole of the EU, apparently. And that is why 95% of the money is unaccounted for, missing, ... or stolen. So to me, that is, and it's not queried. And when a couple of weeks ago, there was apparently a demand for more money from the clawback that Margaret Thatcher had got, they decided to give more, 4 million more. Well, if they can't, check out and tell us what happened to the 95%, why on earth should we give them more? As a matter of fact, we should give them less. We should only give them the amount that is the 5% we can account for, because that's all they can account for, apparently, according to the EU auditors. And these are very brave men in my book, because the EU doesn't like people, blowing the whistle like this. They usually fire them or push them to the side or do something. There's quite a lot of them who are being treated like that. But let's have a look at this here. This is what one man did when he saw the corruption in our own parliament. I mean, our own parliament have passed through 200,000 laws, which virtually none of the MEPs have had time to read. I mean, they're like a telephone directory thick. And they've got about 2 or 3 days to read them before they vote on them, but they've still got others to read on the way. So they usually sort of say, if you ask them, well, that crowd over there said it was a good idea, so I voted on it. I mean, that is not the way to do it. And, you know, people like me, who are historians, have been, you know, for 50-odd years now, been passionate about history and watched many events and seen what Europe has done. I mean, Europe's got the most appalling human rights record in history. And, you know, the way this lot reacts, it's as if they don't feel rules are important. I mean, Hannon was going off pop the other day about the fact that demonstrations for various things are allowed, yet they broke their own rules and stopped all that. It just is. They're lawless. They couldn't care because they're very powerful, backed by extremely wealthy families. They're the elite of Europe, and it is not democratic. It is a dictatorship. It's like any dictatorship we've ever had to take down, but it's very bad. And our leaders have put us into this dictatorship. And this is what a man did. His name is Oliver Cromwell, which all British people know. Many revile. And, you know, I'm a monarchist, but let's see what he did and why he did it. This is why he did it. It is high time for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonoured by your contempt of all virtue. And I would say contempt for the commons, contempt for all the rules and regulations, contempt for democracy. I would say all that comes into that. And defiled by your practice of every vice. Oh, we know a lot about that. We heard about that recently. You are a factious crew. Yes, of course. And look at what now they're protesting against their rules being put in to try and control them. Like Esau, you sell your country for a mess of pottage. And that's what they've done. There's been bribes taken right up into the lords. We know about that. And like Judas, betray your God for a few pieces of silver. Is there a single virtue now remaining amongst you? You have to ask that question. Is there one vice you do not possess? You have no more religion than my horse. Now, you know why that is important, because any man who knew the 10 Commandments would not do what these men have done, would not have lied and deceived and been treacherous like this. Gold is your God. Which of you have not bartered your conscience for bribes? And I would honestly say that. Ye are grown intolerably odious to the whole nation. And that is true. 75% of the people are like me, very upset about it. You were deputed here by the people to get grievances redressed. And what was our grievance over the last few months and years, etc., was this constant giving away of our power to Europe. And they kept on denying it. Oh, it's not going to be happening. No, it's not like that. They lied. Are yourselves gone? They've gone rotten. So, take away that shining bauble there. That means, you know, you've got no rights in this. You don't deserve anything like that. And lock up the doors. Get out of here. This place is closing. In the name of God, go. And that was right. And that is why we need to have Christian, God-fearing men in there that will not do this to us. Brown says he came out the manse. Well, I don't know what that means anymore, because I mean we all know that Blair promised this election on the referendum twice. Even if every European nation voted against it, he said we would get it, and then he welched on it straight off the election. And he said that for the election. You know, my attitude is, don't vote for the Lib Lab Com in the coming elections. And I want to keep on emphasizing this, because they have sold us down the river over the last 40 years. Now, vote for anybody, the independents. Vote for UKIP. Vote for even the BNP, although I would not like to see them come to power. They won't come to power. But we'll have a rump of conservatives, Lib Lab Cons. We'll have all these other people. And then we'll at least get some balance back into our parliament. That's what I feel. Thank you very much for listening.